Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who's going to be reviewing the new album by Mach-Hommy Tha God Fahim. And listen, he's a mysterious guy, Mach-Hommy. What does he look like? Where does he live? How old is he? What's his real name? I'm a mysterious guy too. Why am I recording in my car? Where's my microphone? I can tell you this much. I am in my least favorite place on planet Earth. That's not true. I am in the basement level parking of my least favorite place on planet Earth. And that's all I'm going to tell you. And I just have a small pocket in here to do my review. This is my EP Wiki, where I've been talking about an EP every week, every day for the week, leading up to Thursday. So let's talk about Notorious Dump Legends 2. As always, whenever Mach-Hommy and Tha God Fahim come out with a new project, the question is like, well, what am I going to say about this? Because their whole thing is they just dump a lot of music, and they dump and they dump and they dump, and it's all of similar quality and it's all of similar attributes. But it's all so damn good that what am I going to do? Ignore it? I can't ignore it. It's great. He is one of the greatest rappers alive. Tha God Fahim, I think, is one of the best sidekicks alive. I know he has a lot of fans who love him as an individual artist. I think he's a great artist, but I think he's a better sidekick. Sorry, my hair keeps hitting against the roof of my car here. What if I had more light? Is that better? So why would I talk about this album? I'm going to talk about this album, and I gotta check my time. I gotta check the time too. I don't have that much time to do this video because it's good. There you go. There's my review. Always positive review show, but this is a very good dump. This is one of the better dumps that the Mach-Hommy and Tha God Fahim have ever taken. And I think it's very good. I think in terms of the beats are almost every beat is at a top level, and the rhymes here are the most interesting I've heard in a long time. Basically, Mach-Hommy has this ferocious style, this sort of attacking style, this crazy word salad, which I compare to Ghostface Killah, not in the way that it sounds, but in the approach of taking the English language and twisting it to its most logical extreme and just seeing what happens when you just sort of say words. And it creates a kind of absurdist poetry, but also kind of a meaningful poetry. So that's why I'm talking about this album, because it's really good. Let's talk about my stamp. Click above the handle thing for when you turn too hard with the song Cold Milk, produced by Nicholas Craven. If you know me, you know that I love Nicholas Craven, one of my favorite producers. Maybe my favorite living producer. Really like his production here. Cool saxophone, drums, great guitar stuff. At times there's these little drum fills. And all the way throughout this album, the main hallmark is that Mach-Hommy starts most of the songs, which is great for me. I like Tha God Fahim, but when he starts off a song, all I'm doing is just waiting for Mach. So here we have Mach up front as we do most of the album, and he almost dwarfs the beats. He's just never stopping. And, he doesn't allow his lyrics to be written out anywhere. So I just have to do my best. Make morning sales, you don't pop unless you order 12. Fuck the 6-pack, I put crocodiles on the shell. I don't know what it is. He even raps a little bit in Creole and then ends with the word putain, which I know what that means. That's the F word in French. Maybe it's the same word in Haitian Creole as well. And then he has this amazing line, which he repeats a couple times. This happens a couple times in the album where he gets super proud of something. Can't play no N-word jam to your Tom Sawyer. Can't say I need a win without 2 losses for you. 2 L's make a dub, and it's cold milk. Plenty of laughs around the sun. I get some holes drilled. I don't know what all this means, but the idea that, if you take an L and another L, that makes a W. So I can't need a win without 2 losses for you. That's kind of funny. Interesting, making reference to Tom Sawyer, the Mark Twain book, and the famous character of N-word Jim, who long-standing debate. I remember in the 90s reading that book and not knowing whether or not we should say that word or not, but still the idea you can't be subservient. And then there's just no break, and Fahim just takes over, and just Tha God Fahim is great here. I love it because he has a little more space, a little bit more logical in his words, but it's not this crazy difference between them. Make Ben Frank do acrobatics. I'm charismatic. For them dollars, gotta have it. I cannot combat it. I step in my way and it's problematic. It's nice. It's this nice kind of internal rhyme, sort of a rhyme run there. Avid, rhythmic, multisyllabic, quite nice. And then just Craven lets the beat run with the great saxophone and the drum fills and even a little singing in the background. Craven is one of the great international crate diggers. He just goes all over the place, finds things, and you'll never figure out where they're from, so don't even try. The rest of the album, a lot quicker. Starts off with the song The Pissy Hastings, produced by Sadhu Gold, who gives Craven a run for his money on this project. This great, weird, wavy beat to start. No drums, just bass. And this is what Mach-Hommy is able to do, but because he just comes out with so much stuff, it's hard to figure out what he's always doing, what makes him so special. He matches this weird wavy beat by actually rapping in that same way. Heard none of you N-words wheat plate? Safe bet, putting money on them is like a fake debt. Try to sleep on me like a Hastings. Hastings is a luxury brand mattress. I didn't know that. I had to look it up. It's intercontinental Mach, not Mac. I love the way he sometimes gets goofy and says things, much like Mach-Hommy is an icon and quote, these little things he can say that get you excited. And like, just as an example of the way that he's playing with the, because the beat goes, put you in a pine box. Like the way he emphasizes the word box. It's really hard. He even changes his voice at time. He has this just sort of loud and quiet. Fahim goes right into it. And then we get one of two weird interstitial parts from the 2016 TV show Startup. I don't know why. It's talking about you can't voodoo your way out of this, you effing Haitians. I don't know. Next song is Bad Hands, the first song on the album produced by Craven. Beautiful, sweet sound. Da, da, da. Crash cymbal at the end of the beat. Mach just starts right off the bat. Tons of cool voice play again. Doing donuts, but someone ate 6 lay vagina monologues on the daybed. And then we get this beautifully funny, menacing chorus. Maybe we can put you under the wing, show you the life and all the wonderful things. What can we do to make you comfortable, king? Anything. I take your crown and lead you off the ravine. So this great sort of false embrace that actually leads to him taking over. It's just awesome. Everyone knows about the God Fahim's greatness from Tokyo to Cincinnati. Very specific. Speaking of from somewhere to somewhere, we have the next song from Vailsburg to Vaudeville. Vailsburg is the part of Newark where I assume Mach-Hommy is from. Great, again, Sadhu Gold, pulsing horns over drums, somewhat kind of like a reset beat, like a loop that sounds like it's not fully through, kind of resets. He's talking a lot less about flip you like and a lot more flipping synth, and there's a lot more spinning instead of flipping. That's the way he's talking about beating you as a rapper. Again, he has another one of these repeated lines. I know you buy your teeth, you bite the tongue away. I saw you by the beach, you tried to bum a wave. I taught you how to speak, you tied your tongue a tay. The other day, you try and run and play. I love the idea of I saw you by a beach and tried to bum a wave. What a beautiful way of talking about someone who has a lot of money and doesn't know what to do with it. Who has a lot of space and land but doesn't have any real power or taste. I love it. And we get double Mach. We get a double Mach verse. He starts right off saying Bill and Ted's done escape too much hellfire, which means that Mach-Hommy has known what I've known since 1992, which is one of the best comedies of the 90s, and definitely the best of the Bill and Ted's movies is Bill and Ted's 2 Bogus Journey. Just wonderful. Make him spin like Sonic in this case. Fahim has a nice verse. He talks about Blanca from Street Fighter 2, one of my favorite characters. I had a friend from Brazil who called himself Blanca and was really offended by that. Next song is called Happiness. I don't have time to talk about this, everybody. The problem with Mach-Hommy, if you notice, I've been cooling on Mach-Hommy. It's because I smell the manosphere on Mach-Hommy. It's been coming out with his little thing where he went after bell hooks and some of his lines, and I understand it. And listen, being in the manosphere is not the worst thing you can be as a rapper. You know, you're okay, but you know, you could be Dr. Dre beating a woman for no reason, right? So I'm not saying it's the worst thing you can be, but it's hard for me because I relate to Mach-Hommy so much, even though our life experience is so different, but because I studied Haiti and because I feel like he's just this super intellectual, super smart guy, to see him fall for manosphere bullshit makes me sad. And so this is all a quote from Gary Vaynerchuk. If you haven't watched the Thought Slime video about Gary Vee and how he lies to you, I suggest you watch it. It is very racky. It's a racky video. Very good. Now, Gary Vee is the most benign of the grind grifters, the people who tell you you can go out and get it. Of course, he did not come from nothing. His dad gave him $1,000 to buy baseball cards to sell them. His dad owned a $4 million liquor store business, and that's how he started his life. So this whole speech about how trust fund babies, he worries about them because they're not strong enough and the system no longer prioritizes them, and it's really the guys from the hood who have all the power. It's just not true. It's just not true. It's just not true. The trust fund babies who fail still have a safety net, still have an amazing safety net where they can still get that job. They can still work for their parents. They can still live in the second house. It really doesn't matter. The system is really, really unfair, and pretending like it's not is not genuine. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't grind as hard as you want to grind to make the money you want to make. And a lot of things Gary Vee says, I actually agree with a lot of things that he says in general. Of all those grifters, he's the one who I like the most, even though I don't like him. But this whole idea is just false. I've known a lot of trust fund babies, okay? I went to school with them. I've seen them fail horribly and still wind up making $100,000 a year, okay? Anyways, next song is called N-Word, So Good, produced by Fortes, cool kind of bossa nova bongos, running trains like Thomas and James. Hey, another thing with Mach-Hommy, his whole running trains thing, it's just weird. I get it that it's sort of like a flip thing. It's not actually a sexual thing, but it's too visceral for me of an image. So, like, I'm not, like, on board. Unintentional joke. I'm not on board. I'm not on first class, second class, steerage. I'm not on the hobo car. I'm not on board with the running trains jokes, but whatever. This leads perfectly into the next song, which is my stamp, Cold Milk. And then we get to Everybody's Source Codes, produced by Tha God Fahim. Usually, if I see Tha God Fahim produces a song on an album, I anticipate that being one of the less interesting produced beats. Why is Notorious Dump Legends 2 so worth talking about? Why is it so good? Even the Fahim beat, this might be the best beat. There's a lot of beats that are in the running for the best beats on the album. It's this great muted keyboard organ, cool funky jazz beat underneath. And this is the only song to start with Fahim, but because he's producing it, it works. It doesn't bother me at all. If you know, you know. Cold Wars, trapped in this rodeos, revolving like yo-yos. I never give Tha God Fahim enough credit for his own rapping style because he's always next to Mach. But he does a lot of the same things. It really is a lot like Raekwon and Ghostface, where, in my opinion, Ghostface is way ahead of Raekwon, but Raekwon does a lot of similar things, a lot of interesting things, and they just go so well together that, you know, it's a stupid comparison to make. N-words be sodium when I step up to the podium. I don't know what that means, but I like it. It's funny. And then we get Mach singing, where he just sings, everybody, 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 you all, everybody. It's catchy, it's cool. It's the thing that Mach is able to do, to be so menacing while at the same time every once in a while just being kind of funny. And it's sort of like, you know, what can we do, King? I take your crown and push you over a ravine. You know, there's this constant sort of back and forth. It's part of his mysteriousness and his danger, you know. And then just these lines. So these are the lines I was able to copy from him. I was able to write down. Who knows how accurate they are. The dump lineage ain't in you. The mitochondria, this really ain't familiar. This really ain't your venue. We're going to continue to spin you, to terrorate your mental, and pen and pencil stencil. Our credentials still spin you like a Tibetan prayer wheel. Stay ill and raid the temple. So many awesome things in there. The way he said Tibetan prayer wheel. Spin like Tibetan prayer wheel is a very specific thing used in some Buddhist rituals. And the pen and pencil, stencil, credentials, still, all these multi-syllabic rhymes. It doesn't all mean something. It doesn't all mean nothing. It's just that perfect mixture. Sorry, I'll make sure you don't see if there's anybody in the back. It's just a perfect mixture of all these things, okay? He just cannot stop rapping. He just keeps going. It's like I think Mach-Hommy has 2 times as many words as most rappers do without sounding like a hemina, 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 hemina. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool. Props to, you know, Das Effects and Twista. But, you know, like the hemina, 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 that stuff I'm not into that. But he's able to say so many words without ever sounding like he's stressed, without ever sounding like he's just too much. And just this whole end verse, like the beat drops out and he just keeps going and going and going and going. And then we had this bizarre interview. I believe it's an interview between David Letterman and Ed Hurley. Ed Hurley, who was the host of the short-lived Craft Theater, which was a show on NBC that used to film in Studio 8H, which is the same studio where they filmed Saturday Night Live. And he's talking about recording the show, and I swear to God, he says Mach-Hommy Theater. I don't know what it's actually saying. I've looked it up. I can't find a different name for the theater, but it sounds like he's saying Mach-Hommy Theater. I don't know why. I don't know how they found this. I could not find this interview. I could just recognize Ed Hurley, and I could recognize David Letterman's voice. Just amazing. Craft Television Theater. It's no Colgate Smile Hour. Next song is Olajuwon. Holy God, did Sadu Gold just steal this album? Did he steal the album from Craven with this crazy beat, with these great killer, like, plucked strings and funky drums? This amazing first verse. We run it up like Hush Puppy and Mr. Wootberry. I don't know what he's talking about. He changes this flow to this weird sort of Caribbean flow. When I shot the blocky like Olajuwon. He just starts another verse and then passes the baton perfectly to Fahim, who just takes over and says, my favorite lyric on the entire album, I never change up like cartoon clothes. Very funny. Cartoon characters wear the same clothes all the time, right? Peter Griffin, Bart Simpson, doesn't matter. Cartman, they all wear the same clothes all the time. It's very funny. Next song is Wellness Check, produced by Craven. Kind of a play on words for like a wellness check, like the police making sure you're okay and money making you feel okay. Another Craven beat, cool kind of soft rock song. This has a couple guest appearances, which is fine, but I don't want them. Big Chico's on here, very kind of sultry start, which is nice. Talking about how he can handle the streets, but he can't handle dealing with a rap game. Lane Didion. Smoky voice, kind of a breathless flow, and then Mach comes on and saves everything just because you think dog shit is chocolate cream. Just great. What I love about this, when you pay attention to Mach's style, he starts off with this nice sing-songy, funny, cute line, and then he just gets more and more intense and more emphatic and less space. He goes from all this space to less and less space until I find and you just right there. Sour Patch Kids right on me daily, pushing up petunias, pouring ammonia on these playthings. Baked beans, pralines. I don't know what he's talking about, but I love it. Trumpet solo. One thing Craven really deserves a lot of credit for is finding where to put solos from the samples that he has, how to let the beat ride. He's really good at knowing how to let the beat ride. The album ends with the song Non Dezo, which might be the best beat on the album as well. Are you getting the point? This is produced by Denmark Vesey. I've talked about him on a previous review. This weird, like, Nechus de gladum, da, da, da. I asked my wife, who speaks Serbo-Croatian. She thinks it could be Slovene, but we don't know what this is. Non Dezo is the Japanese way of saying why, so maybe it's Japanese. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Denmark Vesey is giving Craven a run for his money, digging in those international crates, okay? I choose Gladum, da, da, da. But the thing is, this is such a good beat, and this whole album is so filled with good beats that even though da, da, da could be the whole thing, the beat changes for the rhymes. For it settles into these little string lines. It's sort of back and forth between Mach and the God Fahim, flip you like a Motorola, got drip like Osmosis Jones. Funny, interesting lines, and then just this amazing da, da, da beat. So why should you listen to this album? Because it is one of the best dumps these two guys have ever taken. I really enjoy it. It's really quite good. I wish I was not where I am right now, but I have to go do the thing that I came here to do. So, smash the like bucket in thanks to me for fitting this in, and pray for Mojo. There's the camera.